If you're watching this video, then the chances are you already know what a manhwa is, but if you don't, then don't worry, I've got you. Imagine manga, but in Korean. Separate the panels and put them on top of each other and also color them. That is a manhwa. So in this video, I'm gonna talk about some good manhwas, some bad manhwas, and even some questionable manhwas that I'm ashamed to admit that I read them. So here is 20 manhwas I read. It was 2016 when the first chapter of UnOrdinary came out and I started reading it from the first ever chapter, and guess what? To this day, I'm still reading this manhwa slash webtoon weekly. I kinda count webtoons as some sort of manhwas. Personally, I could never see myself reading something for this long, even though I'm a One Piece fan, but still, 7 years is a long time. But you know what? 7 years well spent, because god damn I love it. Hey, it might not be for everyone, I can get it, but when John, the main character, kept beating the shit out of this blue hair guy, even though he was unconscious, I felt happy. Finally, a main character who is not all goody shoes hero with angelic morals. Usually anime MCs are so heroic that it makes me sick. Anyways, UnOrdinary's art style is a bit rough in the beginning, but hey, even now it might not have the best art style, but I really like it. Also, should I even talk about this story? Imagine My Hero Academia, but way better. It was a joke, calm down. So we have John, an extremely ordinary boy in a world full of powerful humans. Everyone in this story has a unique power. Some can shoot lasers, some can produce electricity, but John, well, he has no power. So it's actually John who is not normal in this world and, well, is unordinary. Hell yeah, title drop. So our Johnny boy has to survive in this world where power is everything, and everything he knows is a bit of self-defense techniques in order to not die. So how does he beat the shit out of his bullies? Well, that's something you have to find out for yourself. Honestly, there's a lot going on in this webtoon and the story gets really interesting and complicated down the line, so I highly recommend this one because it's one of my favorites. Before we get to the next one, I have to say that this video is inspired by Alex. I saw his video about the webtoons and I was like, huh, I also like webtoons. I'm that type of friend that won't shut up about anime and games and stuff like that, so why not I make a video like this? So I made it. Now back to the video. Next one is one of the most popular manhwas ever. Secret Class. But it's not really my favorite manhwa, nor I enjoy reading it. But I want to talk about it and say that I hate this dude. I despise the main character. He's the most manipulative prick I've seen in my life. He can brainwash Johan Liebert. He can manipulate Griffith. He can play games with Young Wenli and Lelouch and win. The amount of times he has bullshitted his way in is unimaginable. It's almost like there are no consequences whatsoever for his actions. Who would have thought? But I'm like, you can't keep getting away with it! Seriously, what is wrong with this guy? He looks like the quiet kid who gets bullied all the time in his school. And listen, all I'm saying is this guy is the biggest red flag ever. But yeah, even though I hate MC, I still read this thing from time to time because our side is pretty good. Moving on to the next manhwa, I want to talk about one of my absolute favorite manhwas ever. It's none other than Omniscient Reader's Viewpoint. Is it omniscient or omniscient? You're riding a train to go home, and as per usual, you pull out your phone to read your favorite novel, 3 Ways to Survive the Apocalypse. You've been reading this novel for the past 10 years, but you're also the only person in the world who's read this. And it just happens to be that today, the last chapter of the novel will come out. So, as a token of gratitude, you write a comment for the author saying thanks. Then all of a sudden, you get a message from the author of the novel. They're saying thank you. They say the novel is gonna become paid content by around 7 PM, but you get a free copy of it. And it will help you. Help you? How is a novel gonna help you? Then the train suddenly stops, and by sheer coincidence, you check the time. It's 7 PM. You see a flash of light in the corner of your eye, and in that moment you realize the genre of your life has changed. When it comes down to this manhwa, I just lose my shit because, oh my God, this story is amazing. I've never seen a story like this with such crazy twists and turns and with such incredible ideas. Seriously, this author right here is a freaking genius, and so far all of the author's ideas were done absolutely beautiful. But for your information, Omniscient Reader is about an average guy named Kim Dokja who is obsessed with a novel called 3 Ways to Survive in the Apocalypse. I know it's a shitty name for a novel, and this novel is about, well, apocalypse. So just like any other story, the novel that Kim Dokja is reading has a main character called Yoo Jung-hyuk, and swear to God I'm straight, but oh my god, he's a daddy. So what will happen? Yep, the novel that Dokja is reading turns into reality. A sequence of specific events happen and Dokja sees some characters that he has seen, or rather I should say read, in the novel. Now bear in mind, Dokja doesn't get transferred to the novel. He don't get isekai'd, but rather his own world turns into the novel as if his world was already part of it. And guess what? Kim Dokja was the only one in the entire world who has finished 3 Ways to Survive the Apocalypse. And what that means is Kim Dokja knows exactly what's gonna happen in the future. Listen to me. This idea is really cool. And the fact that to us, Kim Dokja is a protagonist, but to him, Yoo Jung-hyuk is a protagonist is just the coolest thing to me. And also there are so many mysteries that I still don't know, but I just love this manhwa. I don't think I had this much fun reading any other story, so please read Omniscient Reader's viewpoint. But anyways, I think the next manhwa that I'm going to talk about is not as popular as the previous ones, but I really love this one, and it's The 4 of Them. So basically The 4 of Them is a high school story with a pretty normal love story. But the strongest point of this manhwa, or rather should I say webtoon, is its characters. Have you ever watched or read something and somehow you end up liking all the characters? Like every character is so sweet and the chemistry between them is just so lovely. Like for example, Friends. I know this is a basic example, but I genuinely like Friends. This webtoon is one of them, and swear to God, this is also one of the most wholesome stories I've ever read. And look, I was never interested in high school movies or series because they were really boring to me. I don't care if this kid's crush ends up falling in love with another one. I was never into that. I'm more like an action beat ass, eat ass type of person. Or am I? I started reading this one casually and I was like, why am I invested in this? Well, honestly, I know the answer. There's a certain panel in this manhwa that moved me like no other romance, and it's this scene where we get to see the world as Johnny's eyes. He's our main character, and then he sees something upsetting and his eyes start to tear up. Honestly, for some reason that also made me tear up. I didn't actually cry, it was just tears in my eyes, but still, that is a huge achievement for this webtoon because not a lot of stories could do that. And I really appreciate when stories can make you feel something. So if you like wholesome stories, then definitely check out The 4 of Them. Now it's true that I just said that I was never into high school movies or things like that. The same thing applies to romance. I think the only romance anime I liked is Clan Adapter Story, which is not really a romance, but rather it's about the main character's suffering. Oh no, wait, I actually do have a favorite romance anime, and it's Bunny Girl Senpai. Or is it even considered as a romance? Frankly, I like it because I just truly love Sakurajima Mai. But the point is, I'm not a big romance guy. But then I came across this manhwa called See You in My 19th Life. And boy, this was actually pretty good. I'm also pretty sure they made a K-drama out of it, so you know it's good. But yeah, basically, See You in My 19th Life is about this human entity who gets reincarnated every time they die. They have experienced multiple lives up until now, and they can remember all of their past lives. Honestly, this concept is actually really scary if you think about it. But anyways, this entity falls in love with someone. And something happens and we get to see the title drop, See You in My 19th Life. It's a good story, I promise. I still stand to my word that I'm not a romance guy, but the thing is, this character in particular does so many lovely, wholesome, cute things that it actually made my heart kinda go. So yeah, I was really happy when they finally started dating and lived happily ever after. Wait, what? The story is not finished? Oh yeah, right, they have to solve a murder mystery. Okay, here it is, calm down. I know a lot of people were waiting for this one, so here it is. The GOAT of manhwas. And I'm talking about the God of Highschool. Where do I even begin? Oh yeah, my favorite part is definitely where they went to high school and they took exams and the MC finally got the highest score and became the God of high school after all of his hard work and studies, right? No? Okay, how about this? Goku? What's he doing? But... No, don't say it. Don't say it. Better. No, wait, it was a joke, no, please, it was a joke, no, sir, I swear it was a joke, no, please, wait. Okay, enough playing around. I genuinely don't know where to even begin with God of Highschool because this one is massive. And I don't mean just a gargantuan amount of chapters. I'm talking about the scale of fights that happen in this story. But well, in the beginning, this manhwa is all about martial arts. And to me, the strongest point of the manhwa was the martial arts. Seeing Morijin's fight style was really exciting and, in a weird way, almost refreshing. I just absolutely love its fight scenes because of how fluid they feel. You look at one panel, then another, and never in between you feel disconnected because it almost feels like anime screenshots. Talking about the anime though, don't watch its anime. The anime skipped so much and it wasn't cool. Anyway, I did say that I really like the martial arts, but I also really enjoyed the superpowers. I think that's where this manhwa truly shines. So yeah, overall this manhwa was such an incredible journey to me. It showed me some of the most hyped scenes I've ever seen in my entire life and I could never forget about it. So please go read it. I feel jealous of the people who haven't read this manhwa and they can binge it because I had to wait weekly for this. So yeah, this one is actually amazing. Please read it. Next one is Do Not Die. I still remember when I first started reading this one because it was really interesting. That day I had no intention of reading anything, but I just started reading the first chapter of this manhwa only to check it out. Then I caught up to the last chapter, in a single day. But for the context, Do Not Die is a vigilante manhwa. A really cool one, to be honest. Honestly, I don't have anything else to say about this one, but I really enjoyed it. So overall, good experience. I just talked about a vigilante manhwa, so it's the perfect timing to talk about the next one, Get Schooled. Whoa, now hold on a minute, buckaroo. I just realized that I can't talk about this webtoon. I mean, not that I can't, I prefer not to, because this webtoon got cancelled for use of racial slurs and much more. The last time I read this webtoon was over a year ago, and I was at chapter 64, so I genuinely didn't know about this stuff. And I learned about it just now during the editing of this video. When I wanted to take screenshots of it, then I realized it got deleted from the webtoon's website, and yeah. You can find more information about what happened to this webtoon for yourself with a simple Google search. But oh boy, from what I've read, it was absolutely horrible. So yeah, we're not gonna talk about this. So moving on to the next one. Here comes the next vigilante manhwa. I bet you didn't see that. Weak Hero. Yeah, it's a vigilante manhwa, but this manhwa almost turned me into a fujoshi. If you know, you know. But the section where I felt like a fujoshi was actually really sad and depressing. But it was really powerful because it stuck to me. So what am I even talking about? Well, Weak Hero is about a weak boy who's a hero. Who has to study in a god-awful school full of bullies and vigilantes. And because of his looks and size, well, naturally so many bullies wanna pick on him, unfortunately and sadly. But he might appear weak, but he's not. Well, actually he's not really that strong, but he's really smart and he finds smart ways to beat the shit out of his bullies. I love that concept. That should be the only reason for you to go and read this manhwa. But I learned a valuable lesson from this manhwa. Bullying is bad. Here's another one of my favorite manhwas of all time, and I'm so excited to talk about this because I think people don't talk about it as much as they should. And it's Sweet Home. If you know me, which you don't, you definitely know that I like horror stuff. and you would also know that nothing really scares me anymore, which is such a shame. Now Sweet Home is not that scary, but the beginning of the story was actually really creepy. Some of the designs in this one really creeped me out because of how unnerving the art style is. But the art style aside, the strongest point of this manhwa in my opinion was the characters and the narrative. It was actually really interesting to see a group of people trapped inside an apartment building with dangerous monsters, and each of the monsters were unique, so you have to deal with each of them in a completely different way. In some of the situations I was like, how did the author come up with something like this? This is actually pretty insane, and it felt like a collection of creepy ideas put together masterfully. I talked about Sweet Home, so it's only natural to talk about its prequel, Shotgun Boy. In my whole life, I've seen handful of prequels that are so amazing that they can elevate the enjoyments of their predecessor. Like a great example would be Better Call Saul. It's so amazing that I love it even more than Breaking Bad, which was already a masterpiece, but Saul managed to make Breaking Bad even better. So Shotgun Boy is one of those prequels. If you've already read Sweet Home and you loved it, then you have to read Shotgun Boy. When it first came out and when I read it, I didn't know that this webtoon is the prequel to Sweet Home, but then you see stuff happening, then you realize, holy shit, I know this. So why is it so good and how does it elevate the Sweet Home? Well, it expands the world of Sweet Home and it gives you answers you didn't know you needed. So what comes next, you ask? Of course I have to talk about this. Are you suffering from living with a psychopath murderer who forces you to bring him victims to kill? If yes, then God may rest your soul. That's the entire story of Bastard, but with one of the sweetest and the most wholesome love stories. Believe it or not, Bastard was the first manhwa / webtoon I read. So what that means is I read it almost like 6 or 7 years ago. And at that time, I was a dumb kid. But even as a 15 years old dumb kid, I could understand that holy shit, this manhwa good. But now that I read it again, I realized I was wrong because this webtoon is amazing. Are you suffering from living with a psychopath murderer who forces you to bring him victims to kill? If yes, then God may rest your soul. That's the entire story of The Predator. Honestly, I dropped it, but it was interesting in the beginning and then I kinda forgot about it and I don't remember much from it other than a weird creepy ass monster, a weird creepy ass girl, and a weird creepy ass cult. Now that I think about it, I should probably continue reading this manhwa for the sake of this video, or maybe not, I don't know. I didn't really like it. Oh my god, I love this one. This manhwa is genuinely the funniest manhwa I've read, and it's Love Advice from the Great Duke of Hell. What's it about? Imagine a bunch of funny shitpost memes compiled together with an actual good story. Holy shit, I should give myself a pat on the back because that is the best way to explain this webtoon. Comedy relies heavily on timing and the tone, but despite that, I had many big and loud laughs while reading this webtoon. And for the story, well, this boy has a crush on this girl, but he doesn't know how to approach her, so he summons the devil himself to help him. Pretty normal stuff, right? But that's just the tip of the story, and trust me, this webtoon has a lot to offer in terms of twists and turns, and I'm sure you will enjoy reading this one. This is yet another comedy manhwa. It's also a vigilante. You see, the main character of study group wants to have good grades in his studies, but there's a problem. He's awful at studying. He's dumb. Seems like no matter how hard he tries, he just can't learn stuff. So because of his low grades, he ends up in a, yes, you guessed it, a god-awful school with bunch of other stupid bully kids. And the thing is, he really wanna improve his grades, so he does anything to do so. So someday he reads a random ass line that says, to improve your mind, you have to improve your body, or something like that. So what he does is that every morning, he wakes up before his parents wake up and he secretly goes out to work out. And why secretly? He just doesn't want to make his parents worried. Then he gets into martial arts and stuff, not because he likes martial arts or Bruce Lee or anything, he simply wanna be better at studying. But what actually happens is he turns into the best fighter in his school. Reading this manhwa was so much fun and the art style is really beautiful. I highly recommend it. Next up we have Psychic Studies. I think this manhwa is really funny. That's my whole opinion about it. It's about a boy who apparently can hypnotize people, but he can't really control the effects of his hypnosis, and every time he attempts to do that, it goes horribly wrong, and that was like the whole premise of the story. But then it gets quite serious, and somehow the story gets real good with an interesting time loop. Don't ask me how that happened. So if you like funny manhwa, definitely check out Psychic Studies. If I had to describe the next webtoon with only one word, it would be lovely, because Mage and Demon Queen is one of the loveliest webtoons I've read. So basically this girl is obsessed with this dummy mommy demon queen, and every day she infiltrates her castle in order to confess her love for her, even though it costs her life. But no worries, people can resurrect in this world. Honestly, I haven't read all of it, but I really like the chemistry between these two, and I think they look extremely cute together, and I really want to see their relationship. This manhwa is also funny, but in extremely cute way, so check it out if you like cute things. Now, before I talk about the next one, let me tell you something. I freaking love Mushoku Tensei. I love it so much that it made me read its light novel. Just imagine me reading something that has no pictures. But it seems like the author of the next manhwa is also a big fan of Mushoku Tensei, because the beginning after the end, it starts just like Mushoku Tensei. Honestly, it kinda threw me off guard because of how much the first chapter of this webtoon resembles the start of Mushoku Tensei. It's literally copy-paste, but without the horniness of Rudy. It was really strange to me to see something like this, but thankfully, it's just the start that is like Mushoku Tensei. And after some chapters, this manhwa tells its own story and carves its own path. Well, the story is about a king who gets isekai'd into a fantasy world. That is quite opposite of what Rudy was, and that's all you need to know. But I think it has a good story and a good world building, so if you're a fan of Mushoku Tensei, I think you would enjoy reading this as much as I did. Have you ever read anything that it made you interested in that topic? Like, have you seen sports anime, then suddenly you wanna play basketball or volleyball? That's me with The Boxer. No, seriously, I really wanted to start boxing, but I never had the chance. I'm scared. But I don't know why boxing things go so hard. Hajime no Ippo and Ashita no Jo, both of them are fantastic. And guess what? The Boxer is also really amazing. So we have this gloomy ass looking dude who has a godlike talent in boxing. Then someone discovers him and he starts boxing and he's really good at it. But he doesn't really care. He does what others tell him to do. But honestly, the boxing matches are really intense and hype, and the art style is so crisp and dark and cool and manly, and it's just amazing. Good manhwa, made me want to start boxing. You're the strongest human on earth, so it's your duty to save the earth from the otherworldly creatures. But then you realize there's always someone stronger. You cough up blood as the Demon King pierces your chest with his sword. You are helpless and you are suffering. The demon makes an offer. He tells you to work under him because you are truly strong. Maybe together you can even kill the gods. You reach out for the demon's hand, but not to accept his offer, but to deal a final blow by sacrificing yourself. But hey, you make sure you look cool in your last moments. Now you're unalive, and the Demon King, he's still alive, but you managed to cut his hand. Your strongest attack on him only managed to blow up his hand. Whatever, you're not alive anymore, so you wake up in the underworld. You hear a gentle voice that says, you're in the pantheon where the gods reside, and they inform you that the gods are willing to revive you into a random ass moment in your life. Gods. Gods never do anything for free. You ask them, what's their goal? The answer is, the gods want to see something more entertaining. All the war memories rush into your head. All those years, millions of people prayed to the gods, but all they did was to ignore the humans. So you realize you were nothing but an entertainer to them. But you have no other choice. You accept the offer and you wake up 10 years earlier. Now, you can save the world. That was the first chapter of... Doombreaker. Doombreaker is really cool. It's also a little bit like Omniscient Reader, where the main character knows what's gonna happen in the future, so he plans ahead and adapts to every scenario. I really like the action scenes in this one. It also kinda reminds me of Solo Leveling. Overall, it's a really good manhwa with so many hype scenes, so I highly recommend it. That was 20 manhwa, but wait! There's one more. Look at it as a bonus, because the last manhwa I want to talk about, and it's the latest one I've read, is Plus 99 Reinforced Wooden Stick. And I only have one question. With a title like this, why on earth does the art style goes so fucking hard? I was reading the first chapter and I was like, huh, typical VR game fantasy settings. Like imagine Sword Art Online, but better. This story is basically about a guy who reinforces a wooden stick to level 99. That's the max level any weapon can reach, but the chances of his successful level up is extremely low. So this wooden stick turns into the strongest weapon in the whole game. With a slight tap of this stick to the ground, it can destroy everything in its way. Imagine Saitama if he was a wooden stick. Nothing really fancy here, right? Also, this weapon doesn't take itself seriously because the art style goes from this to God damn and to holy shit, what just happened to the art style. It just went insano style, baby. And I was confused that a silly idea like this is making me excited. And also I have to say that the story is not bad. It's not the best, but it definitely has its moments. So if you like a silly fantasy but an extremely fun to read webtoon with level 99 GAT, then definitely check out Plus 99 Reinforced Wooden Stick. And with that, our 20 manhwa Plus 99 video comes to an end. I seriously don't know how to end a video, but if you like seeing videos like this, let me know in the comments. There are a lot more manhwa/webtoons that I've read and I want to talk about. I also want to talk about manga and anime and games, so if you like this video, please consider subscribing to my channel because that will help me a lot. So in the end, thank you so much for watching. I really hope you enjoyed it and see you in the next video.